We're just going to jump right in. Welcome back to 22 Panels, Shelly Bond. Good morning.
Hey,
We were starting to talk about how generations seem to be getting shorter. So I just wanted to get in before we got to the awesome parts, because I agree with you. I think 7 years tops. I actually think as technology has moved, um, generations get shorter and shorter. I mean, I think it might have been legit to talk about generations as 20 years, 100 years ago. And it might have
sure.
been legit to talk about generations as 10 years up until about the 70s. But I mean, we were talking briefly just about different forms of music. I mean, when you start going eh, or different forms of listening to music, when you start going from vinyl into 8 track, into cassettes, into CDs, into mini discs, into MP3, into streaming, boom, 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 boom. Uh,
Yep.
you know, the the high schoolers don't know how the middle schoolers are doing it.
I
You
know.
know?
It's amazing to be alive to see it happen. But I still think that like the bottom line is no matter what your preferred listening device, the fact that we have the option
Yeah.
to take it with us wherever we go. I mean, the
It's
soundtrack to my
massive.
life used to be in my head
Right.
back in the 70s.
Right.
So I think the day my life really changed, I mean, obviously 1974, Rebel Rebel on the radio, David
Right.
Bowie, big game changer for me. But also when the Sony Walkman came out,
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that I could tune out anyone in my orbit and just be at one with my music, that was another huge game changer for me. So, yeah, I think just looking at the evolution,
I think
from
I think my big game changer was for like my 10th birthday. I got a CD player with a tape deck, so now I could record things. And then I
yes,
saved
that
up
was
my
major.
right, and then I saved up my money and I bought myself my first cassette Walkman because I'd had like portable radio with headphones, but the cassette Walkmans were just expensive enough that I'd never gotten one. But I was mowing lawns at
Hmm.
that point, that sort of thing. I saved for a summer, and just in time for the school year where I hated the school bus, so I walked like a mile and a half to school just because I preferred
Yep.
that to the school bus. But it became even more fun where when I could like make my own tape,
Oh
my
yeah.
headphones on and listen to the music I wanted to listen to, not what I could catch on the radio if the signal was good, blah, blah, blah. But
Right. Well, I think that's so funny. The soundtrack for my latest Kickstarter, Suddenly One Summer Camp from Hell,
which is amazing.
1971 to
People should go.
1974.
Yeah.
Thank
People need
you.
to back it.
Well, the
People who have
soundtrack
backed it
for it.
for digital need to up it to physical. Physical needs to get some
Oh,
swag, and then you'll be over the line. I just did the math.
listen, you are I know you are the math scholar and the swag champion. I don't think there's ever been a Kickstarter that
Your
I've run without you backing for swag. And
your swag is
that is the
legendary.
thank you. It's a great joy to be able to design those things
Yeah.
and just to have it be a centerpiece, I guess, of a campaign. But what I was trying to say earlier was,
Sorry.
the cool thing, no, don't be silly. We both have a lot to say. I know we're going to talk over each other a lot, but we're both passionate about music and comics. So let me just say that with Suddenly One Summer Camp from Hell, the evolution of music was so important to me since I was a little girl. So, the story starts in 1971, and I remember things on the radio. I remember when I heard David Bowie's Rebel Rebel 1974 at summer camp. And I was very conscious of the changes in how we could not only get music, but how it could become intimate and personal. So
Right.
I put together some soundtracks and I've made them what was on the radio, because I was trying to explain to my husband Philip that, you know, in America, you pretty much were stuck with your local radio station, which meant that sometimes every hour, twice an hour, you'd be listening to Duran Duran in 1982. And that maybe wasn't what I wanted to be listening to. And you know that in 1982, I worshiped Joe Strummer. So if only the Clash was
Right.
on
Well,
ten
particularly
times an
because
hour.
you weren't strictly urban. You were what,
I
hour and a
I
half
was
from
crossover.
Philly?
Yeah,
Okay.
I was in a suburban town, so we had the local radio stations, and we had some pretty good radio stations in Philly, but they were classic rock. So you had
Okay.
WYSP and WMMR, and they played decent stuff. I mean, I love the Kinks. They got
Right.
really into the Stones, but they didn't play my British heroes. And
Right.
I think I've always had an affinity for British music. But like
Well, I
you
mean,
were
the Kinks
saying,
and
you
the
know,
Stones are British. They're just not as
they
cool as,
are.
well,
Sorry. I
actually,
mean
Ray
like someone
Davies
like
is
Joe
almost
Strummer.
as cool as Joe Strummer. I'm gonna go on record as saying that. Ray Davies is almost as cool as Joe Strummer.
Well, I'm not going to agree with you. I think he would like to be, and I think he's okay. I think I go in and out. I go in and out with attitude, but I prefer Joe's message. I
Yeah.
prefer Joe's way of life and his urgency.
Yeah.
And listen, we can all say we're bummed. He passed away too young.
Right.
What would he be doing now? Like I feel like I only knew about Teddy Boys and Rockabilly because of Joe Strummer, because
Right.
anything he was doing, I wanted to get my hands on.
Right. Yeah, no, he was. I unfortunately, and you see, I'm gonna ruin my reputation with you here. I discovered the Clash
Oh no.
when I
Through your
was.
mother's what through your
Oh
mother's
no,
record
no, no!
collection.
I
That would
discovered it.
impress me.
I no, I discovered the Beatles and the Stones and Dylan and the Kinks and all of that through my parents' record collection. Um,
Nice.
but I discovered the Clash, and I want to say 2000. I mean, I discovered
What?
discovered isn't quite right because I
What?
heard the stuff that got played on the radio.
Ugh.
I knew should I stay or
Ouch.
should I go? I
Ugh.
knew. Well, let me finish. Let me
I
finish.
okay.
Uncut did a whole issue devoted to them, and I
Oh yeah.
read Uncut religiously. And for that matter, they
Religiously.
had two they had two different CDs that month. So I had to buy it twice because it was two
Yeah.
full CDs worth of Clash covers. And I read it start to finish. I'm like, oh God, I need to get to know this band. So I spent the next like 2 months listening to nothing but the Clash,
Bravo.
like
That's
8 to 12
bold.
hours a
I
day. I
love
mean,
it.
this is
Yeah.
how I get to know. I mean, I
Yeah,
don't,
me too.
I've not always been, I mean, I sold music for a decade. And when I was selling music, I was pretty good at staying up on what was good now, not necessarily what was popular now, because like with comics, I believed much more in figure out what I can sell to you, not what you already want to come for, because you'll find what you want to come for.
Exactly. Yeah,
You
yeah.
don't
No,
need me.
that's
You don't need
yeah.
me to sell you Britney Spears. You need me to sell you Sean Colvin.
Yeah,
you know.
I hear
Um,
you.
but
What
yeah,
was what
no.
was your what was the one song that made you a forever Clash fan?
Um, it's funny because I listened to those two albums, the two uncut albums of because at that time I had my dad's copy of London Calling on vinyl, and I had the two uncut
Epic.
albums of covers. Um, so the song that hooked me was Hawksley Workman's cover of Bank Robber.
Ah,
Um,
interesting.
and that was the one that made me start hitting every record store until I built up my Class collection. And the second the internet became big enough that you could go find bootlegs, I started,
Mm.
the Clash was on my short list of people that I wanted as many bootlegs as I could find. Um,
I knew there was a reason I liked you.
yeah,
I wasn't sure what it was until this
I,
very moment.
I'm an odd guy. I'm
Hey,
sometimes behind the eight ball. I was behind the eight ball on Vertigo too. I mean, you know how much I love Vertigo,
really?
but I
Yeah.
didn't read Sandman until probably 99 or 2000.
All right. Well,
You
you
know,
can just say you had heard Endless Nights was in production and you couldn't wait to see a book that I co-edited. And
I
we
like
brought
that.
in a
We'll
lot
go
of
with that. That sounds good.
phenomenal European artists in on that book. I think that book
Oh, Endless Nights is
was
amazing.
astounding.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the
Yeah.
fact that we were able to print it in a larger size, we fought the good fight when
That
Neil had an
is the
idea.
first Sandman thing that I bought when it came out. I
Oh,
hadn't even
cool.
read the
Well,
rest
thank
of
you. I
Sandman,
appreciate
but
that.
it looked cool enough that it's like and
It,
the guy at the shop that I worked at some knew is like, yeah, no, you don't have to have read the rest of Sandman to enjoy this. I'm like, okay, I'm sold
well,
because
and
it
that's
looks
all Neil.
amazing. And
Neil Gaiman is not only a terrific writer, we all know that. He is a legit, good, kind soul.
right.
And I tell you that because sometimes when you are on social media, your heroes are tweeting and you're like, are they really that kind? Are they really that nice? And I am here to tell you, Tad, it is the truth.
He seems like
He
it.
is.
He
He
seems like it.
really is. And he's a great marketing person. He
Yeah.
always had great ideas. In fact, he wanted a chess set, I think, since I started working at Vertigo. I would always
That's-
talk to him about his dream retail products, and we made that happen. In my final year working at Vertigo, in fact, I have pictures of Neil with the mock chess set. We finally made it happen. But
I think
the
I've
idea
only
of
seen
having,
it in the back matter of the Absolute Sandmans,
oh, it's so
but it's
cool. It's
beautiful.
so
Yeah,
cool. I think it's still available. But
I'm certain.
Neil always had like his eye on ways to make Sandman and other properties evergreen. And I think that entry point is always so critical. And he always had great ideas that we championed. And another one was the slipcase edition. That was something that once we finished the original Sandman run,
Right.
Karen Berger, my boss, and I, we were constantly talking to marketing, saying, come on, this is a great idea. Let's get this out for Christmas. People would want a slipcase edition. And there was always pushback. And we finally got one out again in my later years at Vertigo. And I was relieved and delighted to still
Yeah.
be at the company where I can say, Neil, remember that wish list?
We
Congratulations,
get to
we did it.
cross one more off.
Yeah,
That's
it's pretty incredible. But that's Neil. I think he always had a really solid understanding of the comic book industry and
yeah.
also how to connect with people
Yeah.
and to bring new people in because that is still tricky.
Yeah. I mean, part of it is managing to do that thing that's interesting to them in a way that none of the other comics that have been thrown their direction were, but then also you have to find the way to get it in front of them
Right.
because
And yeah,
comics are both an isolated industry and a fractured industry. I mean, we've talked about this on and off a few times, you know,
yeah.
taking getting like a Shelly Bond book in front of uh
He-Man reader.
MS Harkness reader
Oh,
shouldn't be as
right. Okay.
hard. Shouldn't be as hard as
Right.
you because you're both independent, you're
Yeah.
both but
Yep. High contrast, black
but
and white.
but it can be
Indie
difficult.
vibe.
Right. It
Yes.
can be difficult just
Well,
because there's so much. I mean, it's like comics sometimes feels like we're 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 all in the sky compared to the rest of people buying media, but we're all on our separate islands in the sky, and and
right.
and and there
Uh,
aren't a lot of people
I
with the
hope
tools to jump
you're not
between
gonna
them.
break into song. Don't break into song.
I'll try
I
not
will
to.
not do it. I will not be your harmony on Islands in the Sky unless we fund. Unless
Oh,
we fund. If we
uh,
fund this Kickstarter, I will hereby be your wing person on a duet of Islands in the Sky. Kenny Rogers, Dolly Parton, AOR radio. You
okay.
couldn't grow up in the 80s and not
You,
know that. But back to what you were saying. Here's the problem, I think. There's too much out there, and a lot of the young readers who are amazing are reading graphic novels and they're expensive.
yeah,
So you want to give people a one and done. You want to give them something inexpensive that they can read and get hooked because they like the look of the art and the cadence of the writer and the overall spirit and vibe of a comic. And the hardest part is that original graphic novels cost over $20. And they have to, and you're a math guy and I crunch
yeah,
numbers.
and
It is
this is where
expensive to make comics.
young adult, they seem to keep it in the 10 to 15 range for the
I
graphic
guess if you're a
novels.
big company,
Yeah,
you can. If you're Scholastic and you actually have, an
right.
opportunity to back somebody with integrity and maybe pair it with another book that does well. Like you might be able to launch something new if it's sort of like a Raina Telgemeier book,
Right.
if it's for that
Well, I
as a
think
similar
also as
age
soon
group.
as you're in all of the bookstores and Target and Walmart and whatnot, it's a different level of managing to sell. They also make them at a smaller size so they can use the same printing presses that they use for their other books. Um, I
Yeah,
mean,
I mean,
I'd have
fair
to go
enough.
in, I'd have to go nuts
Fair
to figure out
point.
how they do it, but they certainly
Go nuts. Next time. Next time we speak, I want you to tell me you've gone nuts.
you
You've
got to
got
remember
facts.
I do work a day job.
I think everybody just does this for a day job like me, but people that self-publish are day for night.
Yeah.
It is
Oh, absolutely.
24/7.
And I think about it. I would love to. I don't have I'm a strong believer, at least for me, that if I was going to start some sort of company, I'd have to be able to start it with money that I could afford to lose. And I've just never reached a point where I
Oh, for
actually
sure.
have money that I can afford to lose.
Well,
You
I
know?
can't say that I've had money that I can afford to lose, but I can say that I've invested in myself.
Right.
And I've had some mad money. And like everybody, my credit card points, they
Right.
accrue, you get cash back. I've done some strange things over the years. I've
Right.
been selling things,
Right.
things that mean a lot to me, but that, there's some kind of poetic justice when you sell a comic book page to make more
To make a
comics.
comic. I
And
like that.
yeah,
I mean, I
I
still
think,
prefer that you get to keep your art, but I
well,
like that.
it's
There is
funny.
poetic.
I feel like as long as I tell the person whose art I
Yeah.
sell, so they don't see it randomly pop up on eBay,
Right.
I feel like it's as classy as it gets.
Yeah.
I do wince a little bit because I know that I've seen people sell things or give away things that I've given them, and it's that to the heart a little bit.
Right.
But I think we're all living in really tough times.
Yeah.
The economy is just a mess, and do what you have to do. If the idea inside you is like burning bright and you want to get your point on paper, I always say write with intent. Don't make anything you really don't believe in because we don't have
Well,
the
absolutely.
time or the money, right?
Right.
But you should just go for it. And I've told my students that. And I think a lot of them think because I'm such an editing fossil that I must have a lot of money and a big retirement account. Au contraire, I am just like everyone else out there. It's just as hard to break into comics as it is to stay relevant.
Yeah.
And I wish there were more of us
Well,
that held
and
hands in the island in the sky, as
right.
you've described it, and we could toss our
Islands.
comics
That's the
back and
problem.
forth.
It's islands.
That's right. That's right.
You
It's
got the
the plural.
superhero island, and you've got the monthly indie
Cyberpunk.
comic island, and you've got the whenever we get them out indie comic island, and you've got the YA graphic novel island, and
Yep.
very few bridges.
Yeah, and that's something that the comic book industry should be able to do better by now.
Right.
And that's kind of sad
I mean,
that we haven't.
I mean, I'm a small podcast, but that's what Tyler and I, that's our biggest focus is the medium of comics is what's great. So let's talk about the
Yep.
medium of comics. Let's make it so that somebody who's listening to us because we talked to Tom King maybe winds up listening to us when we talk to Shelly Bond or when we talk to
China
Connor
Clugston
Vaught,
Flores.
who's a 19-year-old around me who just put out his third completely self-published graphic novel that he works in like
Very
as a
nice.
as a he works as like a lifeguard over the summer to make the money to put out.
Excellent.
He'll like print 1,000 of them, and sell them for $10 a piece.
Really,
At
that's
my wife
amazing.
discovered him at like a church arts and crafts sale. He had a table and his
Amazing.
comics there.
Great. That's so good to hear. Well,
Yeah.
that's again why I teach. I'm really much more interested in the next generation of
Yeah.
comics makers. My generation, we've blown it. I'm
I
disappointed in
haven't
my
blown it.
peers and my friends. You're not my generation, though.
That's
We
true.
started talking about
I
this.
still
You
don't
are quite a bit
I still don't think you
younger
guys
than
have
me.
blown it.
Well, we
I
could have
think
done
every
better.
generation
We could have done better.
builds, and it's a hard business.
If I was asked my greatest wish, what would I do to the comic book industry right now? I would raise and rebuild, because there are enough great people out there that you put the right people in a room, people that know how to make comics, know how to
Right.
make good quality comics, and people that care about others. And then, we could start a comics revolution, but I'm still not
Absolutely.
convinced enough of those people are at the
Uh,
table.
I honestly think, this is where we get into me as the eternal, I see a problem and I look at wanting to solve it. Um, if we and this is the pie in the sky solution, but it's kind of also there's truth to it. Um, yeah, it's expensive to make a comic, but it's not that expensive to make a comic if you've got the resources that you don't need to make the money back tomorrow. You can make it
Right.
back over 5 years or whatnot. So where I'm really
Yes.
disappointed is in the Marvels and the DCs of the world that have the money
Yeah.
to make
Oh,
long-term
for sure.
investments and don't.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, and
but
also
I
the
mean,
fact
we
that
have all sorts of
the big,
billionaires that go to space. If one of them decided
yes.
that it was more interesting to reshape comics than to
Yeah.
go to space, that's all it would take. That's
Well,
all it would take is
in my
one
in
person
my
who,
heart, in my heart of hearts, I had hoped that would be David Bowie one day.
yeah, that would have been great.
And maybe his son will hear this and know that he inspired so many people in comics. I mean, let's face it, he inspired so many people in the world. I mean,
World.
I was just
Yeah.
reading something that said he was the most important performer, musician, creator of the 20th century, and I agree. And I think his art touched so many people, and I know he was a comics reader,
I'll give him the
so
second half of the 20th century.
it's
Louis
interesting.
Armstrong
Yeah.
was
All
also
right.
in the 20th century.
All right. You can have your Louis Armstrong. However, I think you're right. And I think it's sad. But the other thing that's really important to realize is that zines are super cool
Oh,
and they're
amazing.
making a huge comeback. And
Yeah.
if you can get to a copy shop,
Yeah.
you can
You can
make a
make your own
zine.
comic.
You can make your own mini comic at home.
Yeah.
You can learn how to fold paper into a
If,
mini comic. There you go.
if you have access to
It's
the internet, I mean, there's a whole Instagram comic scene. I mean, a lot of the
yeah,
people that we know that make zines, they start by making them on Instagram and they choose the ones that they
yeah,
put in the zine based on the ones that get the most likes. It's like, okay,
yep.
this one must have been good. It goes in the next zine.
Exactly. And you can sell something like that for $1 or two at
Right,
a craft show or at a
right.
church arts and crafts fair. And there you go. There's
Or
your start.
wherever.
And you just
There and
have, I always say to people, just start small. If they're
yeah,
if they're listening to us and like, yes, I'm going to do it. Like, start with a 1-page 9-panel comic, or
right,
start with a 3 or 4-page comic, and then make the 8-page zine, and
right.
just keep building on it. And it's outreach.
Well,
It's
yeah,
it's maintenance and
an
outreach. You have to
outreach.
be consistent about your sales, your social media. You have to post 3 or 4 times a day, get your name
Finding
and
a
your
community
art
is
out
good.
there. Yeah,
I
you have to
mean,
get visible.
like in Chicago, you've got both Quimby's and Howling Pages that both will carry your zine pretty much no matter what, um, but also host mini fests or Howling Pages does like uh, a young adult reading like a like you go to the library for the read aloud time. They do that on like
Yeah,
Sunday mornings half the time, read aloud comic
that's
at
great.
Howling Pages.
Yeah.
I know that some of the people at Quimby's um do like a monthly zine maker fest where people could just get together and they jam and they make zines together. I know that just around me, I forget the one up in Milwaukee, Lion's Tooth, I think. So I mean,
Well, actually,
it was
there's some. there's some groups that meet online to just have
That too.
chats like
Yep.
once a month.
Hmm.
And in fact, a wonderful local publisher, Cosmic Lion Productions, run by Eli Schwab. His group is fantastic. We table at LA Comic Con every year. We're going to be there December 1st through 3rd. And Eli's crew is amazing. They do indie comics. And I think the first Saturday night of each month, they do like sort of a live jam where you can show up. You don't need to say anything. You can introduce yourself. You can have your camera off, but everybody is just there to connect. And believe it or not, Tad, I don't really have much artistic skill, but the last time I was at one of these events, I did the rough cover sketch for my next
Oh, very
original graphic
cool.
novel, which is the third part of the editing trilogy.
Very
So,
cool.
stuff happens.
Yeah,
You're inspired by just listening to other people. But I feel like
absolutely.
there's no excuse if you want to express yourself.
Not to.
You said you like to celebrate comics as a medium. I am here for the art form. So
Yeah,
I just say to people, be fearless, put your thoughts down, because if you don't, you might be cut out of the history pages. And that's why I do my own personal work.
absolutely. So let's talk about the new book because there's one question that I haven't even managed to ask you when we're hanging out at CXC. Um, where did the title come from?
The title was my reaction to James Tynan, who seems to have gotten away with every long 8-word or more title in the world. And I used to
Okay.
be the kind of person who hated long titles. So, in defiance to myself and to salute James, who, by the way, was one of my interns at Vertigo, I
Okay.
might say he was my favorite because what a terrific
I won't
person
tell Tom.
and super nice. Don't tell Tom. Well, Tom wasn't really
He wasn't your
interning
intern.
with me.
Okay.
He was a Vertigo intern. He was working under Joan Hilty, I believe. That was the year I said to my boss, Karen Berger, please, I have too much on my plate. I can't supervise the intern. But I did. I was pretty much the person that supervised interns for many, many years.
Right.
So yes, sorry, Tom. I know you did a great job. And I
And
know I
we
saw
and
you
we
in
don't we
passing.
won't tell Gerard either.
Well, Gerard was the DC Universe intern. So
DCU.
there's
Okay.
also I gotta differentiate just for your listeners.
That's fair.
But James was amazing. And I was always like chuckling to myself when I would look at the titles, The Nice House on the End of the Nice House
Nice
on the
eyes on the
Lake.
lake.
It's, there are so many, I can't remember them all. But bravo to James. He's working with one of my favorite people, Martin Simmons, on
Yeah.
the Department of Truth
Oh, that's so
and
good.
a Dracula book.
Dracula book just
But
came out.
suddenly, one summer camp from hell really came from me thinking about how I always described my summer camp years. I used to always say it was the camp from hell, which was a very common phrase we used in the 70s and 80s. And it just felt right. I knew it was long. And even my husband was like, are you kidding me? That is so not a Shelly Bond title. But it felt right. And I thought I wanted to see if it would stick.
Okay.
So, also, if you think about it, there have been a lot of camps about summer camp.
Right.
And I just didn't want to do one that was just like everyone else's. So
So
I know it's long.
where does this suddenly come from?
This suddenly comes from the fact that, at least for me, the school year would just drag on and on and on and on. But when the summer arrived, it was like kaboom.
Okay.
Suddenly, school is
Okay.
out for summer. There's no homework. But then I would be
I'm at
bored
the
if
camp
I
from
wasn't
hell.
going away somewhere.
Okay. That
Now, the
makes
camp
sense.
from hell, there are 3 issues in this complete miniseries. So we're kickstarting issue 1 right now. It's 1971 to
Hey,
1974.
you hit
So we
5,000 while we were talking.
did we?
Yep.
Oh, that's amazing.
You're at
Thank you to whoever
5,000
just
even
joined.
right now.
Thank you so much. 5 grand is like a good number. We still have one to
Yeah.
go.
Yep.
But the first issue is about the tiny hells of day camp. Now, believe me when I tell you there were great times, and the day camp that I went to was a blast. I call it Camp Toady in the book because Liz Prince loves frogs for some reason, and I find nature to be gross. Part of the reason is because I found out through summer camp that I'm allergic to it. And to this day, I'm the girl most likely to carry this instead of a pocketbook.
We're
You know, like,
we're an audio podcast, so I will tell our listeners that Shelly just held up a box of tissue.
do you mean all this time I've been primping and preening to show up
I've told you this
on
every
these shows?
time we've been on.
I'm sure you have, but maybe I guess I was just hoping that for every interview that I do from now on,
I mean, if you
you're going to record
desperately
the
want us to
video.
put up the
I
video, we
don't.
could probably
I
arrange
don't.
it. But
I actually don't. I don't. Thank you though. But next time I'm going to
the
come.
only video that we've put up so far, actually, we haven't. The only video, oh, you're up to 5,011 now, and we're not even broadcasting
Woo,
live. This is crazy. Um, the only video of a podcast that we have up, Josh Bear put up. He asked us if he could get the video to put it up through his own site to promote his book Unended.
nice.
And I said, yeah, sure. If you want to take the video and do something with it, then fine. But we don't have a YouTube channel, and we're not ready to have a YouTube channel.
Got it. Good to know. I'm going to file that under next time. I'll be showing up in my pajamas.
Hey, we'd be totally okay with that. We've had that before.
Excellent.
I'm actually
Well,
in pajamas. You can't tell, but
I can tell because actually your camera's on. So I can tell you're wearing your Space Ghost pajamas today.
well, no, I'm wearing my Spider-Man pajamas and a baseball t-shirt.
I was thinking about Alex Toth and how much I loved Alex Toth and comics long before I knew that comics were still being made.
Right.
Because I loved everything that he contributed to, like the cartoons on Saturday morning.
Right.
So big Alex Toth fan and big Johnny Quest fan.
Okay. I used to watch Johnny Quest. It's been a long, long time.
So the summer camp stories, Tad, because I know you've been deconstructing my title. So the first book covers, like I said, tiny hells of day camp, getting hit in the head with a tetherball. Come on. That is great. That rattles your brain. I thought my brain fell out of my ear, when that happened.
I recently had a concussion. I'm not into rattling brains.
Yikes.
But yeah,
okay.
They're not fun.
Sorry to hear that. I was the kid most likely to wear a soggy Band-Aid. So I was constantly getting cuts, and I itched a lot because I was allergic to trees and pollen and grass and you name it. I cover my first experience at an overnight. Every summer, the campers would have one night where we would sleep overnight. Not a good thing for someone allergic to the woods. I'm not gonna ruin what happens, but let's just say the best thing about that first issue is that I am not the star. And I didn't mean for it to happen, but my sister is really the heroine of the entire issue. And there's still sibling rivalry between us. So when I tell you I did not plan for that to happen, I hope you believe me.
Yeah, I'll say, just because we couldn't do as good with it as you did with John. Anybody who wants to hear the inside of the Shelly Bond sibling rivalry, go listen to her recent appearance on Word Balloon. She and John had a lot to say about their siblings.
Yes, we both have sisters, and it can be a very, very difficult thing when you're especially when you're the baby of the family. Right. So yeah, it was tough. But the second issue, John, which I am super excited also to mention.
I'm Tad.
John, Tad.
I brought up John, sorry. So it's my fault.
It is your fault. I'm sorry. See, if we were on video, this wouldn't happen because I'd be looking at you and I wouldn't get confused. But I've had my eyes closed now for the past 10 minutes because there are bags under them that could carry groceries for your family and mine for 10 years. The second book, I just want to say, it covers 4-week overnight camp, which is a very different beast.
Yeah.
And it takes us to the third book, which I think is going to be your favorite, 1980 to 83, because I know you remember being a kid in those years, and those were intense years for music.
I think it's also going to be my favorite because isn't that your time as a staffer?
Well, it is. I start 1980 is my 8-week overnight camp, and that was real hell. That was when I was bullied, and that was tough. But I made this all ages because I think you can tell a story about bullying with humor and heart, and
Absolutely.
it doesn't have to wound you for life.
Right.
And it's one of the reasons why I wanted to tell this summer camp story in 3 single issues. The end of the arc, as it were, we escalate from tiny hells to major hell. And then after that bad experience at overnight camp in 1980, I decided I'm not going back to overnight camp, but I want to go back to camp as a counselor. So I went back to Camp Toady, air quotes, which your
The day
listeners
camp.
can't see. The day camp, Camp
Okay.
Toady, and I became a counselor in training. And then for 3 years, I would work up the ranks, and I became not only a camp counselor, but I was hired to teach music and drama.
Yeah.
So I did the summer camp show,
That
and that
sounds,
changed my life, right?
yeah.
That is how I think I started to get confidence in my skills. And I followed a young woman who went to Ithaca College, and that's how I found out about a communications degree. And that's how I knew I wanted to study film, TV, and audio, which led me to comics.
Right.
So my editorial arc at Vertigo started way back in
Start
1971.
Started in I
Because
get
of
it.
day camp.
Yeah, I
So
get
here
it.
we are.
Very, very,
Thus
very
the
cool.
title.
It all makes sense now. I mean, the one summer camp from hell made sense. I just had trouble putting the suddenly together with it. And as soon as I mean, I'm a teacher and I was a student before that. So as soon as you said the end of the school year seems to just come out of nowhere, I'm like, oh yes, very much so.
And my mom was a teacher for 25 years. She taught
Right.
learning and disabled kids and special education kids. She has so
That's
much
what I do.
patience. Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
I used to help my mom do her centers, and so she would design all these little like stations for her kids to go to do their extra work. And the Peanuts gang was our
Oh yeah.
go-to. We would
Oh
draw
yeah.
big images of Charlie Brown and Snoopy, and my favorite was Peppermint Patty. Peppermint Patty went to 4-week overnight camp with me and got into a lot of trouble because the camp bully got a hold of her, and that wasn't nice. But again, I wanted to do an all ages book, and I reached out to Liz Prince because I think pound for pound, there's no greater cartoonist out there who can land a joke
Oh
and who
yeah.
gets emotional resonance
Oh yeah.
and the build up to it than Liz Prince,
Okay,
hands
this is
down.
this is the one grand statement that you've made that I'm in 100% agreement with you on.
This is the only one.
Well, the other
Damn
ones, we've
it.
had our minor things, you said Bowie for the whole 20th century. I said I'll give him the second half.
All right, fair enough. We also had a little tussle about the Clash too. When you revealed that you only discovered the Clash in the
well, and that I think Ray
2000s,
Davies is almost as cool as Joe Strummer.
and he's not, and he's not, by the
I
way.
didn't say cooler, almost.
No, not quite.
Um, but this one I agree with you. I discovered
Liz.
Liz Prince on accident. Um, when Comixology was still easy to search for stuff,
Mm,
like by category,
back
by
in the day.
publisher, right,
Yeah.
whatnot. Um, I came across her diary comic, Will You Still Love Me If I Wet the Bed?
And
Um,
she won an Ignatz for that one, I
she
think.
did on some sort of
That was her
ridiculous sale.
debut. Yeah, it was her debut book, I think.
Well, it was her
The
debut
collection.
at that size because I've got some of her zines from before that at this point that I picked up at comic
Gotcha.
stores. Um, and I've got her collection of um the punk rock comics that she used to do for a zine in
Yeah, me too.
yeah.
I've got the whole catalog.
Yep. Yep. Because
So
and
good.
that's exactly what I the Will You Still Love Me When I Wet the Bed just it blew my mind for multiple reasons. First, you're absolutely right. She can totally land a joke. Absolutely land a joke. Always lands the joke. Never misses the mark. Has the perfect
Yep.
timing.
Yep.
But the second was it was the first comic that I read that made me go, and I don't want this, I always have to like really choose my words to talk about it because as beautiful as her art is, it's simplistic and she's willing to make a mistake and just work around it, particularly in the early era with that comic
Oh
where it was,
yeah.
I'm just doing a single. So it was the first time I read a comic and went, I couldn't do this yet, but I could imagine being able to do this. I can't imagine being able to be your husband. I can't even imagine it.
Yeah,
I can't
you and me both.
imagine being able to
You and me
be
both, baby.
Colleen Doran, or you know what I mean? But as I looked at it, I'm like, she's got a limited number of characters. And in some ways, it's almost like Peanuts. You can kind of imagine being Charles Schultz.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it
Well,
winds up
listen,
being
she
way
also she
harder
has
than it
her
actually looks, but
yeah, it's the line weight too. She
right,
has an economy of line
right,
that is just succinct and terrific. And in fact, I'll tell you something funny. I've worked with Liz a number of times, and I originally was going to hire different people to illustrate the different short stories because suddenly One Summer Camp from Hell is really a series of vignettes. So
right,
it's one overarching story. You will see an evolution of character, no doubt, but they're short snippets of
right.
stories because I think that's my favorite way to look back at summer camp. There's something for everyone. But Liz didn't think she was so good at backgrounds, and she said she doesn't draw them a lot because she doesn't like doing them. And she said but now that she works digitally, they're easier for her, and I really was surprised she felt like that about her own work. But we Philip and I worked with her at Black Crown. She was the backstory artist on Eve Stranger.
Right.
And she's done my other anthologies, and I just was so excited to have her join me on the book. I, in fact, had already had another artist do a short story. I sent her the one story, and she said, "This was fun. Do you have any more?" And I was like pinching myself. I'm like, "Do you mean you actually have time to do more of these?" And she said, "Yeah, I really like the characters." I'm like, "Oh my God," because I'm not kidding. One of the reasons I hired her is because I wanted to learn from her. Because
Right.
I'm an editor who letters
Right.
and writes once in a while, even though she'd rather stick hot pokers in her eyes. You know, that's me. I'm writing because I have to.
Right.
So I thought if Liz is going to rub off on me, yes, I want to bring her in to
Yes.
do more stories. So she's doing the rest of them.
So, I mean, since there are two more, you got to bring her with you at some point for 22
I
panels
will.
because I love you, but I
She's,
also love Liz and I want to meet her.
oh no, for sure. I will make sure you are the first phone call when we kickstart the next issue. Also, I think it's worth saying you mentioned the Charles Schultz and the Peanuts gang. I mean, Liz and I talked at length about our love for 1950s Peanuts.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, what you get at a glance at how she captured this comic. I mean, would you agree with that statement?
At a glance, I I might I
Oh
might put
no,
it
here we go.
60s. It feels
I can't believe, really?
it
Okay.
feels just
You
a
and I
little
think
bit.
we're
I
gonna
mean,
agree to disagree.
the 50s Peanuts, and I love 50s Peanuts, but it's almost too tight. It's before Linus loosened up. It's before way before Snoopy loosened up. And this feels before Snoopy became the Snoopy we know now, the one that walks on two legs rather than four, that sort of thing. It feels before
Right.
that,
All right.
but it feels a little bit. I mean, and we just did Bob Sikoriak, Carl Krumholtz, and a Chicago actor named Sharon Hockerwood and I have a comic strip book club, and we just did a
Oh, fun.
conversation about Charles Schultz. And I
I have to find that.
read a biography of him when we were going into it. So, he was aware that he evolved by getting looser and he liked his work better as he got looser. And for the most part, I agree that when he loosened up is when and I think to me, this hits more the sweet spot where he's really hitting his stride rather than the early years where he's telling great jokes, but not doesn't have the same flow. It's almost too straight laced, if that makes sense. So, on one side, I'm disagreeing with you on a little bit, but I hope you understand that in a complimentary way.
I do not.
I,
You
I,
didn't
I,
explain it enough in detail for me. I wasn't listening. This is why we need the video on, so you know that I'm teasing.
I do know you're teasing. I can see
All right.
it.
All right. You can see it, but your listeners can't see it. I
They
promise
can
you I'm
hear it in
just
your
teasing
voice.
Tad.
They can hear it in your
Tad is the
voice.
best. I love when Tad goes on and on and on because it gives me a chance to drink my tea. Tad, I'm not that funny. He's laughing so hard that you can't hear his laughter because I
I'm
can see him
I'm
almost
I'm
falling off a
laughing
chair.
because I love that you are the queen of the the backhanded compliment, but
Self-deprecating.
with love.
Yes,
You know,
and
I love when Tad
self-deprecating
goes on
humor.
and on, not because he's got something interesting to say, but because it gives you time to drink your tea.
Exactly. Well, listen, you know there's great love that I have for you, and
Yeah.
meeting you at CXC was an
Oh, it was a
absolute
blast.
joy.
It was a
And
blast.
really, thank
I
you for
enjoy getting
supporting
to
all
know
my
Phil
work.
better at CXC. I gotta rope him into a
Oh,
book club. I know he's always
yeah,
tied to his table, but I like talking
yeah, he
comics with your husband.
especially especially at that show.
Yeah.
We were guests and I had a lot of heavy lifting to do. I think I did 5 presentations and Philip really deserves all the props.
Yep.
He was at the table the whole time.
Hmm.
And listen, I'm sure if you ask him nicely, when we finish getting geezer number 2 to the printer today, by the way,
Nice.
which is why I only have an hour for you,
That's fair. That's a good reason.
he
I
might
can't wait
want to
for it.
take he might want to take a breath and
Well,
maybe when
I
he's
already did
launching.
ask him nicely, and that's about what he told me. So I got my fingers
Okay.
crossed.
All right, I'll see what I can do for you. I
Yeah.
might do some extra rounds of like the wash and dishes if he agrees to come on your podcast
And
and
just
let you
talk
be
about
nice to
a
him.
favorite comic. I mean,
He
that's
doesn't
what I
have
want to do with.
favorites.
That's what I want to do
He
with.
doesn't.
But
You're going to be disappointed. Philip,
no,
unlike
a
us, Philip doesn't have favorites like that.
no. But what
He
I
doesn't
mean
have a
is
favorite Clash song.
what we talked about was I have a 2000 AD book club that we haven't been as consistent with because the guy I'm doing it with is really busy. Where we just pick a story. You know, we did Alan Moore's Halo Jones. We did Nemesis Warlock, Pat Mills and Kevin O'Neill. Um, and we read it on our own, and then we spend an hour talking about the story and the art and whatnot. He thought that sounded kind of cool, so that's what I'm trying to rope him in
Okay.
for is to do a book club, not even have
Good
to talk
luck with
about
that.
himself.
Good luck with that though.
Yeah.
We definitely approach music differently.
Right.
And
Oh yeah,
when like
no.
most
He gave me how to make him a mixtape. When I send yours, he'll get his.
okay.
He wants it
All
on
right, very
CD
good.
because he's not into your boom boxes much, but yeah.
I know he's not. He bought me the boombox
Of
though,
course
which
he
was
did.
very
That's what
cool of
husbands
him.
do for their
I
wives.
know. I know. He's the best. By the way, he's the best husband, and you have to agree with me on that
Yeah, I mean,
declaration.
I've seen no evidence to the contrary. I think he's
Thank you.
absolutely delightful and he clearly gets you. Um,
Oh yeah.
and that's
Which
all
isn't
one can
easy,
ask for in their spouse, you know,
right?
is for them to actually
Absolutely.
like get them and be okay with them as they are, not,
Yeah, and exactly, because like just like you probably discovered with your wife, you get married, you think you have the same record collection, you move in together, 10 years go by, not so much.
what I figured out pretty
Some
quickly.
things,
And this is the advantage of being the person who likes a lot of stuff. What I figured out pretty quickly is if my wife likes it, I probably do too. The same is not true the other way around.
yeah,
I
yeah,
like a lot
ditto.
more music than she likes. I like a lot more comics than she likes. I like a lot more TV and film than she likes. I like a lot more food than she likes. But
Yeah,
with very, very few exceptions, there are no things that she likes that I don't like too. So that makes it easy for me. It's like you get to pick what's on the
yeah,
TV because whatever you pick, I'm gonna like. Some of the things I pick
nice.
will make you cry. That's
Yes,
that's not what we want to do.
yes, we don't want ugly tears around
Right.
our spouses.
Right.
Too painful. Well,
So
I I
um
really appreciate you putting some time aside on a weekend,
absolutely.
no less.
I'm a teacher, so weekends are easy for me. I mean, my kids are grown up. my grandkids spend their weekends with their moms, so I don't get to see them on weekends very often anyway. You know,
Well,
it works out nicely.
I hope you're gonna share your copy of Suddenly One Summer Camp from Hell #1 with your
I
grandkids.
I may have ordered a second copy when you added
You're my
the
hero. Forget Ray Davies. Come on. You are closer to Strummer in my book.
I'm still debating whether I'm adding a third because I know other small children that
No,
would like it.
I will send extras to you because I care about you and I appreciate your support of not only my work, but Off Register Press.
Well, I
So
mean,
cheers to
you
you.
do amazing work, Shelley, and I love that you don't sit back on your laurels and keep doing the same things you've done. You don't, I mean, I'm certain that if you wanted an editor job where you did what they wanted you to do, you could find one, but you wouldn't be able to make the comics that you want to make.
Yeah,
Um,
pretty much. And I'm too old to compromise any longer. You do that in your life and you realize, at a certain age, you just kind of like go for broke
yeah,
and make comics the way you want to make them, and no one can stop you.
right,
That's the best part.
right. I mean, you just defined the reason why I'm a paraprofessional rather than a teacher. Why I've got a small podcast, but I don't go nuts to make it a big one. I can do what I want, and what's anybody
Yeah,
going to do?
exactly.
What are you going to do? Nobody's going to care if you
I
don't like me.
exactly. And that's what I think is the bottom line for all the people who say to themselves, "Oh, but I don't have time. Oh, what if I fail? Oh, what if it's not cool?" So what?
Yeah, you
Step
make the
up
decision.
and make it a little bit better. Get
Yeah,
some free advice. Go to
right,
conventions, talk to people who are making comics. Get the advice, maybe nod and take the note, which is something I
right.
learned when I took on a complete whim. I took a TV writing class just for the hell of it because a lot of TV writers would hit me up and ask me to edit their work. And usually I'd say no because they all think it's easy to write comics. So I thought, oh, maybe I should see what it's like from the other
See, I,
side.
I know I know a few people who write both, and the people who actually write both don't think it's easy to write comics.
Yeah, they're very different disciplines. And even like
Yeah,
screenplay format, we do
right.
things a little differently over here.
Hmm.
Pick up Filth and Grammar, the comic book editor's secret handbook, if you want to learn the nuts
Please,
and
it's
bolts.
fantastic. It's amazing.
Thank you.
And it's not the first time it's come up on the podcast.
Oh, nice.
For
Well,
that
I'm
matter,
getting to the point now.
one of our
I might have,
one of our
please.
guests on our milestone roundtable was in one of your editing classes. Can't
Uh-oh,
I
that
can't
could be
remember.
trouble.
No, she said it was
That could be
amazing.
trouble. Well, I love teaching that class. It's a 101, and it's really
Well,
hard
no,
to know.
it was your online one.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a 101. Yeah, it's a 101. It basically covers everything that the editor does from getting the idea, which might be mediocre, making it a
Right.
great idea, to printing the book. But it's tough because it's hard to know what kind of background everyone who comes to the class has. So
Right.
I love it because it's kind of a general sweeping overview,
Right.
but we get our hands dirty. We do
Right.
see things with red ink thrown at them. And yes, I love it. I do teach it a couple times a year.
Yeah. Is that
Just
still
finished a session in October.
I could because I know you're teaching at a
Portland
college
State.
now, right? But
Yes, in the spring.
are you still doing the one through your website, the one that's just you?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
the one that I was referring to when you said you
Okay.
had
That's what
a panelist.
I thought so. I was
Yes.
just
No,
because I
no,
knew
I
that
like
you were
that you like
actually
to
teaching at a
clarify.
school as well.
Yes. I
Um,
teach at Portland State University
okay.
via Zoom. I teach spring semester a class called Comics Editing, which was designed by Diana
The
Schutz.
shuts, yeah,
So it's part of her curriculum, but it's mostly from my book
from your book.
because Diana said to me, "You wrote a book, teach from the book." So I do cherry pick Thanks
Well,
from her
and
terrific self.
also get the kids to buy your book. I mean, that's
Yeah.
the racket that
Well, I
college
give
teachers
them,
have been having for years is you write a
I
textbook and you
know.
teach it in your class, and you've got guaranteed income.
Well, guess what?
Are
I
you one
feel
of
a little
those
funny
silly
about that.
teachers that gives it to them?
I give them the digital version, but I encourage them
To
to
buy.
get the copy that can be dog-eared and that you
Right,
can highlight in, which is
right.
why the printing that was not the Kickstarter is on a thick manga paper. It's on a
Okay,
beautiful stock, and
okay,
it was created for the red pen.
okay. If you continue doing it as as your textbook for class, you might consider doing a printing that's spiral bound. I know I always liked spiral bound textbooks in class because it
Uh,
makes it way easier to get to the page that you're working on.
yeah, interesting. Funny that you say that because I'm in the throes of designing a 102 class on Zoom,
Okay.
which will be a limited number of people because it's more hands-on. So I have a workbook that
Okay.
I'm designing for that class.
Very
I
cool.
didn't think about a spiral, thought about the saddle stitch because I'm a sucker for the saddle stitch, but
Yeah, no, I
I'm
get
going
it.
to take that to heart. I might
Yeah,
credit you with that.
yeah. And then I'll just want to see it because I'm a geek for all things comic education.
Well,
And
I
one
will
day I might
happily
wind up taking
consult
your
you.
classes just because I want to, but it's all a
That would be
matter of
fun.
having the time and the money.
Yeah, this one is going to be more expensive
Right,
because it's limited, and I'm
right,
also going to spend time one on one with people. So
right.
it's something I've been wanting to do, but I wanted to sort of get my feet wet with the 101 first. I taught the 101 three times in the past 18 months. So I'm hoping over, I guess there were like 130 students total in the
Right.
Zoom class. I'm hoping at least 20 of them will want to come back.
Okay.
Or I'm opening it up for people with experience in the industry. And that could
Okay.
mean a lot of things. It could
Right.
mean you were a marketing assistant
Right.
for a year. It could mean you were an intern. I just want serious people. I don't want
Right.
people doing it for a lark
Right.
because I want the seats are going to be
Limited.
small and limited. And I just want people who want to make not necessarily a career out of this, but who really want to make comics in
Right.
some capacity. So I want to
So,
help give them the
how are you
knowledge.
enjoying teaching?
It's okay. I'm not a natural at it. I'm not a casual public speaker.
Okay.
And unlike my mom, who did it for years and years and who, has the patience of a saint, I do things one way. And I am very much from the school of take what you like from my class, take what you like from my book, throw it into your own system and method, and do you. I never like to say there's only one way, but I do things in a very specific methodical way because it's worked for me since the 90s. So
Right.
I'm a little bit rigid in that way, but I always say you need to know the rules before you can break them. And I'm really big on like certain theory that I think is tried and true. But I do believe that people have their own way of like getting to conclusions in stories. And I'm a big fan of like in media res, starting in the
Right.
middle of the action. So
Kind of like we did with this
I try
podcast.
kind of, yes. That's what made it so fun.
This
But
conversation
it
is
was
too good. We got to hit
circuitous.
record.
I know. It's always circuitous though, and I
Right.
really do have to go now. I just looked at the time and
Absolutely.
you tricked me into staying a
I'm
little longer, but
sorry.
I have
I'm
to
sorry.
jet,
Let me
you
hit
trickster.
hit the stop record and then we'll talk for 30 seconds and you can go. So for 22 panels for Shelly Bond, go back suddenly one summer camp from hell on Kickstarter for the next like 60 some odd hours, less than that when we publish. It looks amazing. Everything I've seen is great.
Thank you,
Shelly's
Tad.
great.
Thank you, Tad.
And
It's been a
thank you.
blast.
And we'll see you after the next page.
Hey guys, this is Tyler from 22 Panels. I'm here to tell you all about our Patreon. If you enjoy this show, please consider donating to our Patreon to keep this show going. We have many different tiers, all different levels to help you decide what's right for you. Okay, so get on out there to patreon.com/22 Panels Podcast.